All right. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm so glad that you are here and joining for this mastermind of life, leadership, and business and how they all go together in order to help us create the future that we really desire. I am so glad that you are a part of this and just taking this next step in your leadership journey. I know some of you have been in different masterminds, doing different coaching with you, been a part of different events. And I'm honored and so grateful that you continue to be a part of this journey with me. And I just love having people in the journey with me. You know, we all need to have people who are moving forward, that have the same mindset that we are. And it's people like you who keep me motivated to continue to help others to move forward. I'm so grateful for y'all. I know people are joining from all over the place. I do have to make a little disclaimer here at the beginning. With the hurricane that came through Houston, all of my networking system and all of my email processing system for everything I'm doing is based out of Houston. They have been out without power for 36 hours. I don't know how many people have registered that could not get the information to me. I don't know how many people got my emails today who didn't. I do apologize. I'm glad that you are part of this and just messaging me throughout the day to make sure that you have the information to jump on tonight. So let's go ahead and get started. I am grateful for you. My name is Nick Edwards. I'm a life leadership business coach and the owner of myleadershipcoach.org. I want to tell you a little bit about my story tonight and how I got to this point of the journey. It was about 3 years ago that I found myself kind of at a weird place in life. Things were going well. I was at a good job. I was doing good work. I was really seeing success in so many different areas of my life, and it was really, really good. But the problem was, I knew there was something missing. I knew there was something more. I knew I needed to grow as a leader. I knew I needed to grow my influence. I knew there was something that was missing, but I didn't know what it was. And I would imagine that you've got to that point of your life at different times of going, I want more. I know there's more. I don't know what exactly it is. And I definitely don't know how to get there. At that point, I sit down with my boss at the time, and we were just talking about what's next and what are the next steps of leadership and what are the next steps of opportunity. And through those conversations, I knew that I had some different dreams and aspirations. I knew that what they wanted from me, I wasn't completely fulfilling that role to the best of my ability, but I also knew there was a next step that was beyond that position. So I began meeting with a life coach, and this guy completely transformed my thinking in so many different areas of life. And I'm so grateful that he's actually going to be a part of this mastermind on week 4. We're going to sit down at his house, and instead of being here, we're going to be at his house. We're going to talk about what leadership development is, the impact that he has on my life, and how he continues to invest in so many other people. So I'm sitting there, I begin with this life coach and begin to evaluate all these different areas of my life. I began thinking about different relationships. I started thinking about my relationship with my wife and my kids. I started thinking about relationships that I had with coworkers and bosses and people that were equal in the org chart with me, people that were below me, and how I was leading them both effectively and ineffectively, how I was doing a good job at times and were really not doing a great job at times. I started thinking about how I was leaving a wake of destruction in relationships behind me. And the more I realized the issue was with me. I really wanted to blame other people, right? And that's the go-to thing. It's their fault for not being able to follow. It's their fault for not pushing me to lead better. But it ultimately came down to me. It came down to me having to do some real hard work internally to how I think, how I feel, how I communicate. And I didn't like what I found. So I began this journey. And shortly after going with this life coach and beginning this weekly process of really diving into who I am and some of the things that are my greatest strengths, but also my greatest weaknesses that are the same thing, I was able to join the John Maxwell leadership team. And I went through this process to become the certified coach and speaker and trainer. And one of the things that John pushes all the time is this question: do you have a plan for growth? And so tonight I want you to help me, and I want you to be interactive, and I want you to be able to put some comments in the chat, and we're going to be able to discuss those together. But here's the first question that I want you to ask to yourself. And if you got the PDF, here's that first blank. The question is, do you have a plan to grow? Do you have a plan to grow? And if you have a plan to grow, what does that look like? And if you don't have a plan to grow, how are you going to reach your future hopes, goals, dreams, and all those aspirations that you have within you? So, right there in the chat, I just wanted you to put, do you have a plan to grow? Just yes or no, real quick, put it in there, yes or no. Do you have a plan to grow your life, your leadership, your business, in any aspect? Do you have a plan to grow? All right, John, I do. Yes, but it isn't finished. Man, John, that's a good word right there. Our leadership journey is never complete. Absolutely, it's never complete. Mary says, yes, has a plan for growth. Good, I love hearing that y'all have a plan for growth. John, what I want to tell you is one of the things I learned from John Maxwell is that we need to measure growth, not just goals. See, goals create this finish line that I run hard towards this goal and then I'm done. But when we begin to have a growth mindset, we're always looking for more. We're always looking for how we can improve ourselves, how we can improve our organization, how we can improve the company that we run or we own, or maybe we're just an employee and we need to improve ourselves and our team. And it all comes with that mindset that I'm not just trying to reach a goal, but I'm always trying to grow. Yeah, Ryan, appreciate that. Working on it now, that we always have to make small steps. So as you begin thinking about that, do you have a plan to grow? One of the things I've been working with all of my clients lately is creating some 1 year, 5 year, 10-year goals. And where we get stuck at times is how far we have to go to get to those goals rather than thinking about how far we've progressed. So tonight, as we're doing this, back here behind the scenes who you can't see is Paul Joyner. And he owns J. Crew Entertainment, does an amazing job. I couldn't do what I'm doing today without him. And so one of the things we begin talking about is look how far you've come, not just how far you have to go. And when you begin to think about what it means that to look back, to do some reflection, and to think about how far you've come from a year ago or 2 years ago or 5 years ago, it makes the journey going a year from now or 2 years from now or 5 years from now a lot more practical, a lot more realistic, and it becomes something that you can really grab onto. Think about it. Think about this for a second. Think about how far you have grown in your life, in your leadership, in your business, in your influence over the last year, over the last 5 years. Man, when I think about my last 5 years of my life, I can just think, man, I almost feel like 5 years ago, I was this little kid who didn't know anything. But I also know I have so much more to go. But every day, I want to be a little better. Every day, I want to learn a little bit more. Every day, I want to share a little bit more. And I want to continue to move forward, to grow, to learn, and improve. That's what the growth journey is about. Intentionally taking steps. In John's book, the 15 Laws of Growth, law number 1 is this: all growth is intentional. You don't accidentally get wiser. You don't accidentally get better. Sure, you may over time learn a few things by accident, but that's not growth. That's just catching a few things. Intentionally taking steps towards the goal, towards the future that you want by working through a system, working through a process, doing some constant evaluation, going, here's my next step. See, part of the growth journey is not just setting these goals out here that are so big, but making them small and having all these little steps of where you want to be. And every decision is does this next step get me closer or further away from my goal? And if the answer is yes, it gets me closer to my goal, I make that next step and the next step and the next step. So tonight I want to share with you one of my top 10 favorite books. You may have never even heard of it, and I promise you've never read it. So here is the book. If you're looking for a good book just to put on your shelf, it's this book right here. It's called Zoom. Zoom. And here's why I know that you've never read this book. Because inside this book, there are no words. It is all pictures, one picture after another. And so let me show you what this book looks like. So there is page 1 of this book. And if you were to look at that, and I said, hey, what do you see? You may say, well, I see some red triangles, I see some dots, I see something that I'm really not sure. When I've asked other people this, someone said, well, maybe that's a close-up of the sun. Maybe you really can't tell what that is. So here's the next picture. Maybe. Yeah, click that right there for me. All right, there's the next picture. So it was the top of a rooster, but that's not the whole book. Look how it continues to progress. I'm not sure what, there we go. And it continues to progress, and it continues to progress. Keep going there for me. And it backs up. So it's now kids looking out a window at a rooster, continues to back out. Now it's this farmyard, continues to back out, continues to back out, continues to move. Now it's this girl looking at a table down at this farmhouse, continues to zoom out more, which is actually on the cover of a magazine that some guy is holding, sitting in a chair on a cruise ship, looking at the pool, and it continues to back out. The cruise ship is on the side of a bus. If we were going to continue to take this out further and further and further, what you would see is that cruise ship is part of a picture that's on a stamp, and the stamp is being delivered to an island, and the letter on the island is overlooked by a plane, and it continues to stretch out until you have this one little blue dot of the earth. The reason I love this book is because it teaches us about perspective. What we see up here, up close, is never the full picture. So here's the first thing that I want you to see and to know tonight. Those first blanks. We will never know, see, or understand everything. We will never know, see, or understand everything. So here's what I want you to do. I'm going to give you a few seconds to think about that. And I want you to put, what is your initial reaction in the chats? When you hear that phrase, we will never know, see, or understand everything, what's your initial response? Mary says, obviously, yeah. But Mary, don't we get caught up thinking that we should know everything and we should see all aspects of life? You know, when I first started thinking about this and started writing this out, I started thinking about relationships. The relationships that I encounter, that I never know their full story. I never really know what's going on in their life. So I treat people and respond to people with only partial knowledge of what's really going on within them. And I don't really give them the full grace. I don't really give them the full patience. And I really don't give myself the full grace and patience that I deserve to myself. John said, there's too much in this world to comprehend. Absolutely. So we have to take little steps. We have to take these little steps in order that we can know a little bit more, we can see a little bit more, we can understand just a little bit more each and every day. So thinking through this, we can never know, see, and understand everything. That's what we understand this. You don't understand the full picture until you back up and you back up and you back up some more. And the longer you go, and maybe the older you get, maybe you get a little bit wiser if you're intentionally trying to grow, you understand this principle more. I don't know about you, but at 18, I did know, see, and understand everything. But now at 45, I realize I got a long ways to go. So if we will never know, see, and understand everything, here's the next thing. We must, if we're going to be leaders who are effective, we must, number one, ask more questions. Do you have a curious mindset? Do you have this mindset that I want to ask more questions than I want to give answers? Do you desire to know more or to tell more? So number one, we have to ask more questions. Number two, we have to seek different perspectives. One of the greatest things for me in my leadership journey is I've decided I want to learn from people who are different from me. People that have different faith backgrounds than me, people who have different political views than me, people who have different understandings of the tech world like Paul does, who's sitting back here. I need to learn from him. He sees things differently than I do. You see things different than I do. And I want to learn from you. I want to have a different perspective of life, of leadership. I want to understand things from different people's points of view so that my eyes can see more. So I can understand a little bit more in life. Hopefully that makes me better in relationships. It makes me better in leading people. It makes me better in my communication because I'm not limited to what I know or just the people who are just like me know or understand. I need to learn different perspectives. And then the third thing is that we need to humbly learn from others. Humbly learn from others. I was thinking about this the other day. You know, we go and meet someone for the first time or sitting in a job interview or you're at a networking group and you meet someone new. And what's going through our mind the whole time? I wonder what they think of me. We're consumed with this idea. I wonder if I am making a good impression. I wonder if they like my shirt. I wonder if they like my fresh haircut. Am I saying things right? All these things that are running through our head. Can I let you in a little secret? Those same things are going through their mind as well. They're wondering, do you approve of them? Do you like their shirt? Do you like their haircut? Do you like what they're saying? When we change our mindset to humbly learn from others, and we begin to think, not what does this person think of me, but how do I add value to this person? It changes things for us. It changes our conversation. It changes our perspective. It changes on how we zoom in and out of our life. So if you're sitting across from me and I'm more concerned, not what you think of me, but what I actually think and can add value to you, then I begin adding value to your life. And it actually puts you at ease. So then you actually can be honest and vulnerable and real and authentic in the conversation. And that's where that should be the goal, that we get to the point that we can have honest conversations with other people without all the pretenses, without all these worries about what they think about me, and just sitting down next to them, having real conversations about life, leadership, business, discussing the hard things, the good things about business, not worried about, hey, what was your revenue last year versus how much did you spend and how much are you in debt versus how much you've made? How are you affording this trip versus that trip? Hey, we didn't even get to go on vacation this summer. So does that mean that you're making money or not making money? We get so caught up in what other people think, rather than just being able to have some honest conversations with people in our life and helping us to gain some perspective, that we would know a little bit more, that we would see a little bit better, and we'd have a better understanding of the world around us. You know, when you think about these three things, ask more questions, seek different perspectives, humbly learn from others. Kids are great at asking questions. And somehow we make kids feel bad about asking questions. We actually joke about it and make fun of kids going, this kid never shuts up. This kid asks why and why and why and why and why. That's the curious mindset that we need to have as adults. How does this work? Why does it work this way? How does this work for you? See, we need to come to the table with each other and go, this is what I learned this week. Could this help you? Hey, this is how I won this week. Here's a tool that's worked for social media. Here's something that's worked for marketing. Here's something that's worked in our financial books or in our taxes. I think maybe this could help you. Would this help you? Just to be able to seek a different perspective. Are you willing to ask more questions than you want to give answers? Seek different perspectives. Humbly learn from others. Will you humble yourself? Man, I know when I started this journey, there were so many times that I thought I was supposed to have the answers about any situation, about finances or business leadership or business development or expansion. And there were so many times I just thought I was a fraud. I thought, man, people were going to see through me and know that guy doesn't have any answers at all. But when I actually began to just ask more questions and desire to know more about them, I gained the wisdom and understanding in order to be able to help them and to help the next person and the next person. See, if you really want to move to the next level, if you really want to take the next step in your growth journey and to stretch beyond what you're comfortable doing, there will be a time that you feel like an imposter. It's only natural. You can't stay where you are and be comfortable and go to the next level without being stretched. In this stretching, you're going to be pushed beyond what is normal for you, what's comfortable for you. So you're going to be put in situations that are beyond your knowledge, beyond your expertise. But will you humbly learn from others? Man, that is so important. I wish I would have learned this earlier in life. Wish more business leaders would be willing to sit down and have an honest roundtable discussion about how they can learn and grow together, instead of just feeling like I have to keep all this information and all this knowledge just to myself. So we will never know, see, and understand everything. We must ask more questions, seek different perspectives, humbly learn from others. So we will do this. We will never stop learning, never stop growing, and never stop giving. Never stop learning, never stop growing, never stop giving. All right, right there in the chat, those three statements: never stop learning, never stop growing, never stop giving. Tell me what those things mean to you and your journey and where you are right now. Appreciate you, everyone, being interactive and being part of the chat tonight, helping us to all learn from one another. What does never stop learning, never stop growing, never stop giving mean to you? I have a long ways to go. John, we all do. But I also know, John, you've come a long ways. Give yourself some credit there. Knowing you've come a long ways and you still have a long ways to go is still a good place to be. Somebody else. Ryan, be teachable and be okay with being uncomfortable. Man, Ryan, that is such a good statement. The more comfortable you are with being uncomfortable, it will put you in a place of constant growth. It's good. You're always learning, always evolving. Yeah, Stephanie. The problem is so many people think that learning and growing is done like when you're done with school. And so many of our different industries like have continual education that we have to go to. Is there anything more boring in the world than continuing education? When you have to do it for your license or to be able to keep up different regulations, is there anything more boring than having to go through those classes? So if that's boring and they're not giving us the information that we really need and want, we have to be responsible for our own learning and growing. We have to be how we continue to progress. I just lost feedback. All right, hold on 1 second. I'm not sure what happened. If you can still. Is it dead? No. I'm gonna put it in the chat. Hey, can anybody still hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. All right. Then we lost video feed. Sorry. I was trying to get us back online. Maybe.
Recording in progress.
All right, can you see? All right. Well, we'll try it this way. Uh, nothing can ever be easy, can it? Nothing. It doesn't matter how many times Paul and I have worked through this and tried to create the best case scenario. Life just doesn't go that way, does it? When thinking about, so we will never stop learning, never stop growing, never stop giving. Thinking about just this scenario, and Paul's back there working through everything, making sure we're all good to go, trying to get us back online. Can I just tell you that this is what the leadership journey is on? This is it. This is the reality of the leadership journey. We think we have things worked out. We think we know what our next steps are. We think we know how we're going to continue to progress and make that next step in life. And about that time, you get hit with a right cross. You get hit with an uppercut and think, I thought I was doing good. I thought I was in the right place. I thought I was going the right direction. And things don't go right. When I think about this, my wife and I started Ramsey Financial years ago. And as we were going through this process, one of the first steps is to put $1,000 in an emergency fund. In the first 6 months, we went through our $1,000 emergency fund 3 times. 3 times in the first 6 months, we went through our emergency fund. Because every time we've made a step, things just went worse again. As leaders, we have to understand there are always going to be obstacles. I was talking to a client yesterday, and we were working through, and this client is just killing it. She is top notch. She is top of her field. She is doing some research, working on a possible new book. And as we're going through this process, she had some new opportunities arise. These new opportunities are exactly aligned with her future hopes, her future goals, her future dreams. They're everything she wants to do. And in the middle of that, there's all these obstacles. There's all these things that have to be overcome. There's all these things that are going to be a lot more difficult than she ever dreamed. But that's just the reality of leadership. When we begin to understand that life is going to be hard, when we begin to understand that there's always going to be the next problem, the next obstacle, the next roadblock, and we start going, that obstacle is an opportunity to learn. That obstacle is an opportunity to grow, to get better, to continue to get stronger through this process. Everything is difficult. It's just the reality of it. I know that you've faced hard times in your journey. I know you've gone through things that were a lot more difficult than you could have ever planned. But continue to move forward. We will never stop learning. We will never stop growing. You ready for me over there? All right. I'm going to, do I need to shut this off or what? All right. There we go. Good job, Paul. Man, if y'all know Paul Joyner and J. Crew Entertainment, I can't tell you enough. Look him up, give him some credit, give him some love. So grateful for you, Paul, and all that you do. Never stop learning, never stop growing, never stop giving. You know, I started writing this, start thinking about these hurdles and how we have to always overcome. When we start seeing the obstacles as opportunities to growth, they make us stronger, they make us better. One of the things I learned from John went through my certification and sitting in a room with him and just hearing wisdom just come out and writing notes as fast as I possibly can. One of the things that I've just grabbed onto and held is the goal is never just to gain knowledge. It's to gain knowledge and wisdom and understanding and all these experiences in order that we would give back to others. So I've been to Ghana, Africa, I think 4 times now. And in Ghana, there is this huge, massive tree. It's the size of a tree that 4 or 5 men can't put their arms around. It's the kind of tree that you can see in like a National Geographic. It's just huge and people are sitting underneath it. This tree is called the boa. And what it means is fat worthless. The tree grows massive and it's huge, but it has very little root system. It creates shade, and the wood is so worthless, they cannot use it to build with. They can't even use it to build fire. It's a worthless tree. And if we are on this leadership journey in order just to gain more information, then we are missing it. It's not just to get fat with knowledge. It's not just to get fat with our own wealth. The goal is that we would learn, grow, and give. And for me, that's the joy of this leadership journey. Thinking about where I was 3 years ago, knowing there was more, not knowing what it was, not knowing how to get there, and now being where I am and all the obstacles I've come through with personal family stuff, with my own journey, changing jobs, changing directions in life. Now giving back to others, helping other businesses be better, helping people just like you to have a different mindset, to help you create the future that you really want. And that's where it's at. And I know that right where you are further along than you think you are. You are further along than you thought you would have been a year ago. Maybe not where you want to be, but you're moving forward. There are people who wish they had your spot. There are people who wish they had your job. There are people who wish they had your knowledge and everything that you have in life. So be grateful, continue to learn, continue to grow, and continue to give others. So I want to give you a couple of actions for tonight. Action number 1 is this. What is one thing that you need to start or stop doing now in order to reach your future goals? You can put that in the chat if you want, but I want this to be something that is more than just a 30-second answer. I want this to be something that you spend some time chewing on and thinking through. What is one thing you need to start or stop doing now to reach your future goals? It's not going to be easy. It never is. It's not going to be just a walk in the park. It's going to be difficult, but you got to take one step. And not just one step, you got to take the next step. So what is one thing you need to start or stop doing now? And then I want to give you one more action. I want to give you one more challenge for this next week. Here it is. Find someone to give to. Maybe you need to give financially. Maybe you just need to give your time. Maybe you need to call someone who used to be a mentor and tell them thank you. Maybe you need to think about someone who's several years behind you and just be able to invest in them. Buy them lunch. Say, how's your journey going? How's the job going? How can I help you move forward? And you want to see the other person just kind of lean in, and they may actually be skeptical at first, going, why are you asking me these questions? Are you trying to hire me? Are you trying to poach me? Or is this a trick? But you want to change your perspective of life, find a way to invest in them. Don't worry about what they're thinking of you. Think about where they are and how you can help them to move forward. So what's the one thing you need to start or stop? And who's one person that you need to give to this week? Because we will never know it all. We will never see it all. We will never understand everything, but we can get better. And that's what the journey is all about. One step every day to continue to get better, because better is always better. Thank you so much for joining tonight. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We will get better. That's our goal. We will get better to make it the best experience for you. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. We want to make this the best for you. We want to make this the best as it continues to grow and help to answer the questions that are really going on in your life, in your leadership, and in your business. Next week, we're going to talk about the hardest question every leader must answer. It's going to be tough. It's going to be good. I promise it will be worth it, because better is always better. Have a great night. We'll see you next week.